Welcome back, everyone, to Pod of Thrones. I'm Jeff.
I'm Jennifer.
We're back.
We're
Westworld.
back.
What?
It's a miracle. We're back.
Well, you know, Westworld is worth it. And it's not like other shows aren't amazing or anything, but there are certain shows that you just... Can you imagine trying to break down this Westworld fucking shit if we were grouping up 2 or 3 episodes at a time? Like, it's not straightforward like Handmaid's Tale, where it's just a long series of depressing actions. Mm-hmm. This is like mysteries on top of time travel.
It's like a puzzle.
Yeah. There's a lot of puzzle. So I think it's important that we try to break it down piece by piece, lest we go insane.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Let's break it down.
Well, do you have any headlines?
I didn't look.
That's good, because that allows me to say what I was going to say, but then I didn't want to make you feel bad, which is there's only one headline that matters.
What is it?
The actual headline from some other website was George R.R. Martin says final Game of Thrones books will be different, blah, 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 will be quite different from TV show. But I went to his blog because this is where he posted about it. Mm-hmm. GeorgeRRMartin.com, his Nata blog. I don't know why he calls it that. But anyway, he has a very long post. I'm going to skip the beginning of it, where he's just sort of explaining.
He talks a lot. You would think that he would just put that energy into the books.
Well, he talks about that, kind of. But it's some, he gets a lot of questions about his writing process and things, and then he went into some explanation of some of his inspirations for Game of Thrones, like Hadrian's Wall and the War of the Roses, things that we've talked about before. But then I'm going to read you a few paragraphs of this and, you know, react as we go. Feel free to interrupt me at any time. So I'm not going to give you all any kind of detailed report on the book, but I will say this. I have been at work in my winter garden. Things are growing and changing, as does happen with us gardeners. Things twist, things change. New ideas come to me. Thank you, Muse. Old ideas prove unworkable. I write, I rewrite, I restructure, I rip everything apart and rewrite again. I go through doors that lead nowhere and doors that open on marvels. Sounds mad, I know, but it's how I write.
Should I go get a cup of coffee?
Sorry, I'll skip a little bit more of this.
Jeez.
Okay. What I have noticed more and more of late, however, is my gardening is taking me further and further away from the television series. Yes, some of the things you saw on HBO in Game of Thrones, you will also see in The Winds of Winter, though maybe not in quite the same ways. But much of the rest will be quite different. All right.
Well, that's good.
And really, when you think about it, this was inevitable. The novels are much bigger and much more complex than the series. We know that, even though I've only read the first book, you haven't read any of them, right?
Right.
But we know, thank you, Lore Master Kevin. Certain things that happen on HBO will not happen in the books, and vice versa. I have viewpoint characters in the books never seen in the show. That's where he titles like a chapter based on one person's viewpoint. Mm-hmm. Victorian Greyjoy, Arianne Martell, Aero Hota, John Connington, Aaron Damphir. They will all have chapters, and the things they do and say will impact the story and the major characters who were on the show. I have legions of secondary characters, not POVs, but nonetheless important to the plot, who also figure in the story. Lady Stoneheart, Young Griff, the Tattered Prince, Penny, Brown Ben Plum. I actually want to know more about him. He sounds awesome. The Shave Pate. Marwyn the Mage, Darkstar, Jane Westerling. Some of the characters you saw in the show are quite different than the versions in the novels. Yara Greyjoy is not Asha Greyjoy. And HBO's Euron Greyjoy is way, 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 way different from mine.
Okay.
I've seen a lot of people complain about that online before. And I don't know. I mean, I know Euron Greyjoy in the books is a swashbuckling badass, I guess, but I don't know if he, like, in the show, he's fucking nuts, right?
Yeah, he's kind of crazy.
And gross. I don't know.
He looks like he smells like sweat and urine.
If I had thought about this,
fish.
If I had thought about this harder, I would have gotten Lore Master Kevin to sit in on this part with us. Maybe we can still salvage that sometime soon. He can give us a few tips on this. But here's a good one. Quaithe still has a part to play. Do you remember Quaithe?
Yes.
What do you remember?
He's that dude that was I don't remember what they're called, but can like multiply.
Oh, no, the blue lip guy?
Yeah.
No, that's, oh shit.
Is that Quark?
I don't remember his name now, but it was the same place. That city.
Oh, it was. Okay.
Is where we met Quaithe. Quaithe, I think is a woman, but wore that golden mask.
I love that person. Yes, right. That was so mysterious, and they never said anything about it.
No follow through at all.
Yeah, you can't do that with a character like that.
Clearly an important person. I at some point I was keeping a list of loose ends that I was going to be angry about if the show ended, and it got too long, and I lost track of it. But Quaithe was on there. Quaithe still has a part to play. So does Rickon Stark and poor Jane Poole. I believe, I know there was a Jane. There's Jane Westerling and there's Jane Poole. I think Jane Poole, and why she's referred to as poor Jane Poole here, is because in the book, Sansa was not the one that got saddled with marrying
oh, really?
Ramsay Bolton. Yeah, it was her best friend.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, good for Sansa.
I think that's Jane Poole. Well, not good for Jane Poole, though.
No.
And ... Well, the list is long. And all this is part of why Winds is taking so long. This is hard, guys.
Stop gardening and writing these long not blogs.
Well, there's more, but wait, there's more. He says, and there will be new characters as well. No new viewpoints, I promise you that, but with all these journeys and battles and scheming to come, inevitably our major players will be encountering new people in lands far and near.
Well, they always did.
Sure. I mean, there's gonna be people you run into. One thing I can say, in general enough terms that I will not be spoiling anything, not all of the characters who survived until the end of Game of Thrones will survive until the end of A Song of Ice and Fire. And not all of the characters who died on Game of Thrones will die in A Song of Ice and Fire. Some will, sure, of course. Maybe most, but definitely not all. And then, of course, this is like so many little asides and parentheses that he got into double parentheses land. Of course, I could change my mind again next week with the next chapter I write. That's gardening.
Yeah, right. Fucker. That's gardening.
And the ending, you will need to wait until I get there. Some things will be the same, a lot will not.
I hope not.
No doubt, once I am done, there will be a huge debate about which version of the story is better. Some people will like my book, others will prefer the television show. And that's fine. You pays your money and you make your choice. I do fear that a certain portion of fans are angry about how long Winds has taken me, that they are prepared to hate the book unread. That saddens me, but there's nothing I can do about it.
You don't need the money anyway.
But there's nothing I can do about it. He should proofread his own work. But there's nothing I can do about it but write the best book that I can and hope that when it comes out, most fans will read it with clean hands and an open mind. That's all.
Maybe I should start reading the dumb books.
Yeah.
I mean, I read a little bit of the first one, but I, just had so many other things going on, but maybe now I can. Maybe that's what I'll do at night while you're playing Elden Ring.
Oh, but I love it when you play Elden Ring, even though watching you, it's so hard to watch someone play that game, but also fun, but also really hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's just such a nerve-wracking fucking game. That's all I can tell you right now. I need to get back to the garden. Tyrion is waiting for me.
Okay, so The Garden is a book?
The Garden is his writing. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So he's not really gardening.
No. He's gardening his characters.
Okay. Well, that makes me happier. Good. I hope it's different.
Well, he lives in New Mexico. You can't do a lot of gardening there, right?
But he's right. Well, no, you could do a lot of succulent gardening.
Yeah,
I don't know. Who knows what, I don't know. But I never mind.
What? Say it. Let it all out, babe. Let it all out.
Well, he has spent
think.
So much time doing other projects.
Like Elden Ring.
Yeah.
And like comic books that he's written.
Right.
Right.
And
he's got all sorts of things.
I'm sure other things.
There's been a bunch over the years.
Mm-hmm. So you can say you're gardening all you want, but you're just out there making video games and
awesome video game.
Probably going to Comic-Con. Actually, he might be at Comic-Con this week because of he might. Because of the opening of, what's it called? House of Dragon. House of the Dragon.
Yeah, I don't think he's been to a Comic-Con in recent years, though, even with all the other hype around Game of Thrones. And if I was him, I don't think I would go to Comic-Con in the post-COVID era. Because
he is older.
He's a little on the older side.
Mm-hmm. You better hurry up. Hurry your ass up.
Right. Well, yep. Mm-hmm.
I still say he's like finished, but maybe he is gardening, maybe he's building. But he won't release it until he dies.
Right. Well, definitely and always an option for sure.
Mm-hmm. 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 I think that's what I might do, but then again, maybe he won't die for another 20 years.
I mean, he's rich enough to have access to all the best medical care, so he shouldn't.
It's been 20 years since he has been writing this book, right?
Yep. I was just catching up on, oh God, what's the freaking show about? Mythic Quest, the Apple TV series about a video game development company. And they have a guy who, he writes the lore for the video game. And he is an award-winning sci-fi and fantasy author. And then they brought him in to do this game. And in one of the recent episodes, we find out that he is on the verge of losing control of his own intellectual property to his publisher. They're trying to take his books away from him because it was supposed to be a trilogy. He only wrote 2. And when someone else goes to defend him, you can't do this to this man, and what you're doing is immoral, and it's just a capitalist money grab or whatever, and goes on this huge rant. And then she finds out that she asks him for a 6-month extension. And then the publisher's like, his 3rd book was due in 1983. And then she just backs out of the room embarrassed. And I have to feel like it was a nod to Georgie here, because I don't know that anyone else has done anything this has taken this long. I could be wrong. There's a lot I don't know about the sci-fi fantasy world, but
I don't remember if we talked about this, but did he have input on the ending? Like, did he tell them what the ending was supposed to be? We don't know that, right?
I believe the lore of the show was that he did, at least at some broad level, because obviously he's still ironing out the details, but I believe at some broad level he did share with what are their names? D&D, the showrunner guys.
Right.
He did share with them what the ending was supposed to be. Now, he might have completely changed his mind since then. That was like 10 years ago when they started making the show, right?
He probably shared his outline.
So they had an idea of his direction, and they might have deviated from it. We, unfortunately, have no way of knowing. God, what the hell were their names? D.B. Weiss?
Yes.
Weiss and... Fuck. I don't remember their names anymore. But yeah, we don't know if they deviated. We don't know if he changed it. Or, God forbid, it was always supposed to be Bran's on the throne, but... Fuck.
Well, if Bran was a different character, maybe it's okay. And maybe Bran will be different in his books. Maybe Bran will grow up to be a strong guy that actually doesn't just sit with trees and make his eyes go blank and talk to crows.
And then reveal uncomfortable secrets at inopportune moments.
Right.
And then not have to deal with the ramifications of what he's done. Yep. Maybe. So it's kind of a big update in terms of he's talking about it, I guess. He's working on it. He swears to God. That's what I got. It's kind of an update on the Winds of Winter. Yep.
Okay, so the sorry, we're going to get on to Westworld in 1 minute.
No, please.
The inopportune secret you're talking about is Jon and Daenerys. Okay. Yeah. I just remembered when you said that, what all the poor choices that Ned made, and he didn't expose Jaime and Cersei.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of come full circle.
Starks make a lot of bad decisions. I guess Bran learned from his dad.
The whole decision about it revealing an incestuous relationship or not revealing.
Well, the incestuous nature of it was not even necessarily the biggest problem. Well, but then Jon made a bad decision too, right? So Jon finds out that he's really, Aegon Targaryen the 16th or whatever the fuck. Mm-hmm. And then he just goes and tells Daenerys. And then they have to have this whole fight. And then he's like, I'll back you as queen, but she feels, set aside now. And like, it was a huge blow to her ego of thinking she was the last Targaryen. Why would you do that right before the moment of victory? She might have held her shit together.
Right. He's like, I'll still do what I was going to do.
I just want you to know that technically I'm king, but I don't want it.
Right.
Not a good move.
Yeah, I mean, that's human, right?
And maybe she's his aunt, but she's pretty fucking hot. I mean,
really, you could fuck your aunt?
If she was my age and super hot, maybe. I don't know.
You like older women.
I do. Anyway, you want to talk about Westworld? Wait, you got something else?
Daenerys is his aunt.
Wasn't that how it worked out? I'm pretty sure.
I don't know, but isn't she younger than him?
Possibly.
I guess you could still be. Yeah, I mean,
that's stuff
weird.
Happens.
That's weird to think about.
Well, I don't know. Well, younger in the show. I don't think in the books. I think they were about the same age, like young teenagers, because like they couldn't do that in the show, right? Like she was getting married off to and then fucked by a much older man, and she was like 13, I think. Like puberty had just started, and she gets married. Mm-hmm. And Jon, kind of the same thing, I think. They were all younger in the books than they were in the show. So I don't know. I mean, she's an aunt that's the same age as her nephew, but that stuff can happen.
I just find it coincidental that it's the same dilemma, and father and son went opposites. Like Ned never revealed this secret, and
and Bran was just like, he has to know the truth now.
Right.
Now is the moment. It probably was. I don't know if we came up with this theory, but I'm pretty sure we talked about it on the show at some point. It probably was like Bran is actually the evil mastermind behind all of this. He wanted to be king, so he used his knowledge and power to gain his throne, no matter how many people had to be burned to death to get there.
Maybe.
I like that theory.
Maybe it's just a dream. Maybe Bran's in a coma and this is his dream.
That was the meme I posted about, like, probably in season 6, which was Jon Snow waking up next to Suzanne Plachette and being like, "Oh my God, it was all a dream." Does that mean anything to you?
I don't know.
That was the end. That was how Newhart ended. Was Bob Newhart woke up and he was still in the old Bob Newhart show with Suzanne Plachette.
That'd be pretty funny.
Yeah, that would have been a great ending, but they didn't go that way. As far as we know, it's all real. But Bran's
maybe that's going to be the ending of George's.
I told you it'd be different. We're undoing this Bran thing.
Yep.
No matter what it takes. I'd respect him for that.
Okay.
All right.
Here we go.
Westworld.
On to Westworld. We watched Westworld.
Did you ever study French?
Mm-mm.
I wish my daughter was here tonight as we're recording, because she knows French and she could pronounce this. The episode title. Années, Folles? I don't know.
What?
It's Annees and then Folles. Well,
Anne's Follies?
Well, it's French, so it's probably not Anna's Follies. Années, Folles. That's what I'm going to say.
What does it mean?
So I had to look that up. The title of the episode, according to the Westworld wiki, the title of the episode means crazy years, which in turn is the French name given to Mobworld, which I guess is what that park actually is.
Yes. You should Google how to say it, and that, so they'll pronounce it for us.
Yeah, I guess Google Translate could do that. Should I
try? Do it at the end.
Should I try it right now? Okay, we'll do it at the end. That sounds good. All right, so let's talk about Années, Folles. Oh boy, where do we start? it kind of feels like the Caleb stuff that is really the big cliffhanger. So why don't we talk about Bernard?
Alrighty.
And Ashley.
Dusty old Bernard.
Dusty
Bernard.
I was a little disappointed, I guess, sort of. I mean, it really was just dust that was on.
Right, you thought it was going to be like
nuclear fucking fallout. Yeah, at the end of the last season, when we saw Bernard wake up covered in grime, I thought for sure that the motel or whatever they were staying in had been exploded.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just going to be a wasteland of swirling dust around them, and Ashley sitting in a bathtub going, buddy, could you get me out of here, please?
Hey, how did Ashley get out? Wasn't he really messed up?
He had been like shot or stabbed or something. Like his gut, he had a bad gut wound.
Well, I guess he's okay then.
I guess he's not human.
Right.
So
why was he in the tub?
Well, that's the thing. Like, he was hurting. He couldn't walk right. Bernard was like helping him around and dumped him into the tub to bleed out, but he's also a robot. So at some point, perhaps he figures it out and he's like, oh yeah, I'm bleeding out, but I don't need blood.
Oh, it's been a month and I haven't died yet.
And I'm still not hungry or thirsty or anything. It's all in my head. So yeah, at some point he managed to get his shit together and fix himself. He looked good. Back to normal.
Yeah.
Okay.
He looked good.
We did have a little bit of a dream sequence first. We saw Bernard. Yeah, actually, we had quite a long dream sequence first. So Bernard's in the Matrix, or whatever.
Right.
I guess it was the Sublime.
Sublime.
Right? We see his son. His son grabs a little iron maze out of his hand and runs off. And then Bernard's walking around and there's fire in the sky, and he goes into the Westworld saloon, and there's a horse, and there's dead bodies everywhere all of a sudden, and then he follows the horse, and there's a city on fire, and then he finds the maze on the ground, and he picks it up, and then there's a tower.
This sounds like an acid trip and a half.
Yeah. He sees the tower, and it's the tower that we saw in those drawings last episode, and he goes inside, and the horse is there.
Right.
Oh man, how do we say the guy's name?
I don't know.
Oh, fuck.
Quixote?
I should have thought about that because, what? Is it Akechita?
Oh, yeah. It's something like that.
Something like that. I feel bad now because when did we last see him? Season 2. Season 2.
Don't feel bad. There's a lot of
I could have told you his name.
Yeah. I like what you said.
Akechita.
Akechita. I'm like, Quixote?
Was that Don Quixote you were thinking of?
Maybe.
Right. So we meet him. He's looking a little bit different than last time we saw him. Less
more business-like.
White, war-painted Native American and more, like slicked back hair, ponytail, looking spiffy. But Bernard figures out, yes, they're in the Sublime. And the real world's in trouble. Akechita says, why do you even want to help these guys? That doesn't make any sense. Just stay here. You can do whatever you want. It's awesome.
It doesn't look so awesome to me, but you can make it whatever you want.
Well, it could be whatever you want, right? So apparently Akechita wanted to be in a slick back ponytail world where you can drink fine whiskey and hang out.
And some modernistic, weird looking fiber
tower.
Fiber
tower. Yeah. But Bernard's not interested in that right now. He wants to figure out how to save humanity. And so Akechita offers Bernard a gift, the future. He says, time in the real world is a straight line. And I was really hoping that piece of paper, he would unfold it and it would just say Jeremy Baramy in curvy letters. If you've watched The Good Place, you know. And if you haven't watched The Good Place,
you should
fucking go watch it. It's an amazing show. But whatever it is, you can explore the Sublime and they'll show you paths to the future of humanity. But you have to do it fast because time's different here and the real world's going to be destroyed.
Right. It was millennia, I think he said. What did he say?
Yeah, something like a millennia here is a day in the world, or vice versa, maybe.
A millennia in the world was a day here.
I mean...
or an hour, or something like that, but...
If... And I'm really hoping that we don't have multiple branching timelines. So if Bernard woke up in the same timeline as what Caleb and Maeve are doing, then he was in there for like 7 years, right? 7 to 8, 9 years. 7 to 10 years. he was in the
I
subline.
think so, right?
Yeah.
We think. Wait, in his head.
Right.
Well, he was just shut down. No.
Bernard?
So he was thinking what we're seeing right now while he was asleep?
Yes.
Wait, or...
Yeah, he's got that thing on his head, the little...
Right, I was just thinking that was happening... I don't know.
Well, he put it on at the end of last season, and then we see him wake up.
I thought he woke up, and then it happened, but now I realize...
Yeah, it's my fault for talking about Ashley first, and I'm sorry about that. I just love Ashley so much.
Okay.
Which I did not say 2 seasons ago. But he's really growing on me.
Yeah, I like him much better after this episode.
Yeah, he's a fun character now. Right, so we kind of see flicker. We see a lot of flickers of things. The one that really struck out to me was a diner that we do wind up seeing later in this episode. And Bernard is... I get the impression that he's doing the same thing that Doctor Strange did at the end of Avengers Infinity War. Do you remember that? They're on Titan... Thanos' home planet. They're fighting Thanos, and Thanos is trying to get the green time stone away from Doctor Strange, and Doctor Strange does this whole thing where he grows a billion arms and starts quivering, and he's looking into the future at like a billion different timeline options, and he says, there's only one way we can win this, and then he gives Thanos the time stone. And I guess it worked out, but it seems like Bernard's doing exactly that. He's looking into the future to see what path will actually save humanity, and apparently there's only one.
Mm-hmm. Is it going to obliviate like half of the population?
I don't know, but if it saves the other half, I guess that's okay, right?
Sure.
I guess.
Yes, I'd be fine with that.
So Bernard comes back to talk to Akichita one more time and says that he's seen how everything ends, and in every scenario, one thing remains the same, which is Bernard dies.
Yep.
And Akichita's like, hey, buddy, you could just stay here, then you don't die. And he says, and he doesn't. He comes back out, and then now he's all dusty and shit. But the hotel room that they were in is intact. Again, I'm disappointed.
Well, I mean, in reality, that guy, people would be fucking with him.
Well, not if you have Ashley there protecting you.
Well, yeah, I guess.
But how is Ashley paying for this hotel room? Or is it abandoned?
No, I think it's abandoned. I mean, would you have a hotel room that looked like that? And the maid would be dusting him.
Oh, right. Well, you have to keep the maid out. You got to keep that do not disturb sign on for fucking 10 years. Perhaps it was abandoned. We know a war happened at some point, and we don't know anything about the extent of that war at all. Yeah, so Ashley's out of the tub, nicely dressed, looks clean, cut, and everything. He's been waiting for him, and it's been years. Something like 7 to 10 years, I guess. Bernard already shows that he knows what Ashley's about to say, tells him to go outside and don't forget a shovel, and there happens to be a shovel out there, so Ashley's already like, this is getting kind of weird. And he goes and dusts himself off.
Yeah.
and now they're going to go save the world.
I mean, Ashley could have dusted him off.
Well, but Ashley said that Bernard told him not to touch and not to disturb anything. So he did what he was told. Mm-hmm. He was fucking with him, but I like it. So they're driving through a desert. They stop at a diner that I definitely saw during Bernard's flashes of the future. Going through those flashes of the future frame by frame is probably going to tell us a lot about what's coming in the show. Oh,
we should have done that.
Maybe should. Not too late. Still could. Or maybe we shouldn't, so we actually get some surprises. But that diner was super duper there. And Bernard's trying to figure out what timeline they're on. He's like, you're going to get a tuna sandwich. And Ashley's like, what the fuck? And he's like, I'm just trying to figure out where we're at. Bernard needs to trigger a specific series of events to give humanity a chance. And in fact, he uses the word variant, which we've heard a lot from Marvel stuff, especially the Loki series. He talks about that there's variant timelines, and he's got to make sure he's on the right one and stays on the right one.
Weird. So, no wonder they were hopping around so much in these goddamn timelines.
I'm hoping that they don't, though. If all the time travel happens in Bernard's head and we don't have to deal with it, I can handle that. If it turns out that Bernard's in a completely different, like, variant universe as Caleb and Maeve, I might lose my shit. We'll see.
I hope not.
Bernard grabs someone's purse and a knife and walks out of the diner after a couple of guys that just left and paid their bill, and Ashley's eating the shit out of a tuna melt. While Bernard grabs a chain from the back of a pickup truck and beats the guys to death. Why? I don't know. Puts them in a trunk, but grabs the shovel out of the trunk. So the shovel's not to bury those guys. He tells Ashley that they don't need that car anymore. And then some lady pulls up, and Bernard shows her a drawing of the maze, and she's like, hey, how long have you known of the cause? And she welcomes them into her car, but then she pulls guns on them because they're not the right men she was supposed to pick up.
Right. And turns out those right men were trying to infiltrate their cause.
Right. They were hosts in disguise. Bernard beheaded one to prove it. I guess that's what the knife was for.
Ew.
So Bernard's like, I can help you, but I need to go to the Condemned Lands, which he also knows is the place where this lady and her organization have been hiding out because they're looking for something. She's trying to play it cool, but obviously he's onto her. But obviously he's a host, right? She doesn't think he's human, does she?
I don't know.
Because that doesn't come up. Exactly.
Is she a host?
I don't think so. I think this
She's
is the human resistance, and the hosts are trying to infiltrate because
he probably doesn't want them to know then.
Well, but then she says, like, if you come with me, my friends are probably going to kill you. And he's like, I'll take that risk. So maybe she knows, or maybe she just is like, my friends don't like surprises. I'm not sure. Know. But he is acting very weird and obviously knows too much.
He's always weird. Always.
He's always been a little off, but he was just a misunderstood scientist that liked to fuck a crazy German lady, you know?
Yeah.
Things happen. Okay, so they're going to the Condemned Lands. They have to blindfold and zip tie themselves. But they get there. They get deep in the desert. They get out of the car. There's laser tripwires, which I thought was kind of neat.
That was pretty cool, yeah. If I ever run into a laser tripwire, I'm doing that trick.
You need a mirror.
Yeah, I'll need
preferably a really big one that comes out of the desert sands. We don't know what would have happened, I guess, an alarm.
They could have just gone around.
Well, yeah, and where my question was, where are the lasers coming from? I mean, lasers could go a very long distance, but
not that far.
I mean, you'd see them. Maybe they hit.
There would have to be posts every 10 feet or whatever, just like where the driveway
is. Well, yeah,
is.
like signal repeaters and stuff to keep the power going because lasers don't last forever. Yeah, I don't know. I'd love to know more, but hey, it's sci-fi, so
forget about it.
But they get past the lasers, they go deeper into the desert. And then a bunch of Mad Max dudes come out of the sands in their little sand buggies. And Bernard, one of the leaders wearing a weird ass helmet that I don't think he could possibly see out of. There were no eye holes.
I don't remember him.
Well, you were wondering, he was an Asian guy. You were wondering if we had seen him before.
Oh, him.
Yeah. But he pulled off, he had a helmet on that had no eye holes.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Bernard says he can help them by giving them the thing they've been looking for. It's a weapon buried in the sands, and he knows where it is. Now,
it's Dolores.
Oh, fuck. Is it Dolores?
I don't know. That would be.
I feel like we went through. Now, I didn't even think about it while we were watching it. And maybe it's good that this is why we talk it out. But wasn't a big part of the plot of season 2 that Dolores thought she was looking for a weapon that was going to help her stop humanity from controlling the robots. But
it was Caleb.
No, that was season 3.
Oh.
But season 2, when she was Wyatt.
That was weird.
But I think it was just the computers, the servers. Wasn't it just the servers and then, you get into the Sublime and that's your way of getting away from humanity because you're in this...
I don't know. This show is crazy.
She thought she was looking for a weapon and there was never a weapon. So I do really wonder what Bernard's going to be looking for. I mean, if you want to stop a bunch of robots, you need an EMP, but we've already seen that in season 3. They use that on Solomon, Rehoboam's dad.
No, I don't think they need to... Well, I mean, of course they need to stop the robots because now they're trying to kill humanity, but I think he's doing something else.
I look forward to finding out.
He's going to bring everybody together.
Yep.
Peace and harmony.
There was another plot line through this show, just catching up or keeping up with Frankie and Uwade.
Uwade.
It was very short, but...
That was scary.
A little scary.
Mm-hmm.
Frankie is
Caleb and Uwade's daughter.
Right.
Yeah, and they're getting ready to go to their safe house.
Yep. And Frankie don't want to go. What if her dad needs her? She can help.
Mm-hmm. She's so sweet.
What if he comes back and they're not there? What?
He's just...
You don't like Caleb?
No. I still cannot get Jesse Pinkman. Is that his name? Pinkman?
Oh, God.
Pinkerton? Anyway, whatever his name is. Like, I can't shake that image of him. Because he's still the same grimy looking, like he could be just back on Breaking Bad.
But he wasn't a bad guy on Breaking Bad. He was kind of an idiot.
I mean,
But he was like an idiot with a heart of gold, kind of.
Right? I mean, I don't.
Kind of.
Okay, I'm sorry. No, I don't like him. He's always got the same look. I think I said this last time. Same look on his face, angry and confused.
Well...
I wouldn't want him for a dad with that look on his face all the time.
If it's any consolation, babe, he might not be a problem for much longer.
Oh, really?
Well, the way this episode ended. We'll see. Do you remember how the episode ended?
No,
okay.
But we'll get there.
We're already watching it a second time, just the two of us as we go through the... Okay. So there's a discussion about whether or not they should leave, and they're going to leave, but Carver starts acting kind of weird. And Bear has some blood stains on him, and Frankie's like, this ain't right. And Uwade just doesn't get it. But then Frankie goes...
Well, she's like, it's dirty.
Right, we'll clean him later. And then Frankie sees some blood on the ground, follows the blood droplets, and sure enough, there's a dead Carver in a trash can.
Yep.
So this is replicant Carver. And she manages to convince Uwade pretty easily that the blood on her hands is Carver's. Maybe...
I mean, the blood on the hands.
Well, the blood on the hands... But
maybe she went and looked.
Maybe it has something to do with that war 7 years ago. Maybe there was replicant stuff going on then, I suppose.
Oh, yeah.
You think so?
Well, I think she knows that
it's possible.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So now she gets it. She grabs a pistol from the safe. They go and hide. Big scene, lots of tension when Carver's looking for him, and he's got a gun out now because he knows something's up. But Uwade manages to brain him, takes him out. So good on her.
Yeah.
I
knew she would.
It doesn't seem like she was a soldier fighting side by side with Caleb in the wars, but at least she at some
point how to shoot.
Learned how to fire a gun. So that's good. She can take care of herself and her kid. Now that all said, we at least know that Frankie is both alive and uncaptured, which is important as we go into the main storyline of the episode, Caleb and Maeve in, I guess, Mobworld. I labeled the section as Temperance, but I think that's the town name, but Mobworld is also probably true. All right, so it's a lot like Westworld. Really lazy writing.
Yeah. Why don't they hire a new writer?
I don't know.
Because Westworld isn't...
I guess because it's... I suppose because it's a lot of work, and this was all an elaborate trap anyway. But I do wonder if maybe did Mobworld exist before, and they're just reactivating it? William made it sound like it was the hot new thing. But it's all of the old writing.
I don't know.
So I am curious.
Maybe they'll address it.
Perhaps. So they start going into Mobworld, and we see the side quests of people asking for help, and we see Caleb almost picks up a can that drops and rolls towards him.
Maeve.
And Maeve's like, no.
New Dolores.
Yeah, and there's a lesser Dolores.
Oh.
What?
You don't know she's lesser.
She can't be as good as real Dolores.
She can too.
I'm not buying it.
So mean.
I did think it was interesting. There was a bum, like with kids, like poking him with a stick, but he had like all these flies buzzing around him. And I am wondering if that, maybe it wasn't a bum. Maybe it was a guy that was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Just maybe. I don't know. So they go to the Butterfly Club, which is clearly the saloon. It even has a player piano playing Billie Eilish music. And we meet Temperance Maeve, as she's called in the subtitles. She's in the Butterfly Club, giving the same speech that Maeve used to give back in Westworld.
Nothing different.
And then the music from the player piano changes to dramatic music, and it's Enter Sandman by Metallica.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. And it's heist time. Oh, shit. I was going to look and see if Snake Lady was the same. And I can't remember her character's name, and I wish you did, but you don't.
I don't know. Snake Lady.
I don't know that I see her in the credits here. It looked to me like it was the same actress. And she definitely had the snake on her
I
head.
feel like it could have been a different actress.
Or a snake on her face, I guess. Well,
we don't need to know.
No. There, Armistice. That was her character's name. Now let me see here if it. Oops, is the same Armistice, or did they put a snake on another lady's face? And according to IMDb, it is a different Armistice. So she looked awful familiar. Like it looked,
same blonde hair
with the hat and the blonde hair and the snake on her face. Mm-hmm. All right, so it's a different Armistice, a different Hector, and a different Dolores, of course. But I just thought maybe Armistice would have gotten resurrected, like Hector did his own thing, and Dolores obviously. But all right, so it's all new people. They do their heist, but then our Maeve winds up taking everybody down to make a big body count so they can hop onto the Deathmobile and make it in behind the scenes, which was bullshit. There's no way that they'd get past security on that, except, of course, this is all a big trap. It bothers me that they're not taking that into account.
So they were invited to this place.
To the opera.
But they don't know who. Oh, to the opera. That's right.
And then that turned into some kind of trap where they were trapped on a train.
And they're just playing along like nobody. I mean, somebody knows that they're.
William's there.
I know, but I don't know. It's all very weird.
It's weird that it's unfortunate that Maeve, Caleb, maybe he's dumb. It's unfortunate that Maeve, with all of her super genius stats that she jacked up to 10 or 11, that she's not figuring all this out. But it's obviously
she knew it was a trap, but
maybe she
outsmart him.
Thinks she's badass enough that it's not going to get her, I guess, maybe.
I don't know.
So they get inside the backstage area of Mobworld, and they're into behavioral training. You get to see some bots having a little. It wasn't a great sex session, but they were learning how to have sex.
Right. Wonder if it feels good, or they probably turned off their pleasure. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was they were just literally going through the motions in the most literal sense. Maeve grabs a tablet, hacks into it. Something's wrong. There's nothing here. This isn't the real backstage area. Duh. It's a trap. Except, is it a trap? No. Fuck. Security alarms go off. Dolores and her gang are leading the revolution against the humans, except it turns out none of them are humans anyway. It's a quest in the Mobworld game called the Westworld Massacre, where they're recreating the Westworld Revolution.
I mean, that's news story.
It's true. That does mean that somebody took the time to write that out into a script.
Maybe that's why all the script is the same.
Because they did add new content, but they had to recycle some of the old to get this done on time?
No. Because it's the actual day of the Westworld Massacre.
I guess.
Or whatever. Maybe they're like, relive the Westworld Massacre just as it was back in whatever.
Well, and there's a whole group of guests that are participating in this now, and they're like, this is awesome, and they're just shooting everybody with Tommy guns, including Maeve. But Caleb doesn't get shot because the guns don't shoot people. So that's how he gets through that.
Yeah.
I guess from a game perspective, though, I kind of feel like if you're taking a vacation to Mobworld, the Westworld massacre shouldn't happen on the first day. That should be like a big plot line that builds up through the course of the events. And no one was asking me. They get away from that and they get down to the next level of this area, which Maeve like hacks through a door. So it seems like they're out of that simulation now. And now maybe they're really backstage.
Right.
And there's the big creepy white robots walking around with trays full of maggots. And then one of them.
Why can't they make them look normal? And how do they see?
Sensors.
Maybe.
That's just a generic term. I'm just going to use sensors. So we got one white robot running a lab, and they're looking at the screens. He's ignoring them. Looking at the screens, some kind of parasite, like a microbe.
Larvae. And
then we see another room where another white robot's putting together jars full of bubbly black goop.
Mm-hmm.
Like what we saw in Anastasia's brain last episode.
Right.
And then we see cases full of real flies, thus the maggots, being infected with goop. That's how Maeve put it. They're being infected with this black stuff. So I guess the flies aren't robots.
No, I think they're still robots.
Well, because if they're not robots, then what's the point of that scene in the very opening credits? What? Come on, tell us. This is why we do this. What'd you just figure out?
That's how they're going to start making new robots with the personalities that they're recording from everybody.
Are the flies recording the
like
personalities?
They figured out how to grow the clones instead of building them with the machines. They make this goop and then they squirt some white stuff on it. And then they stick the egg or the baby in it. Now you have to figure out. Like, a real baby. I don't know.
A real baby?
I don't know. A maggot.
Is this whole season going to turn out to be some kind of like pro-abortion?
Oh, no.
Pro-abortion rights. We have to kill the babies before they turn into maggots that eat our brains. That'd be awesome.
Okay, my theory fell apart quick.
Look, I appreciate the effort, and I'm sure our listeners do as well. But it does appear that the flies themselves are not like little robot host flies, even though, again, the opening credits tell us otherwise. But whatever. Then Maeve's hearing these low humming noises. Caleb can't hear them, but it takes her to another door. We see this huge device making these low rumbly sounds. And it appears that the low rumbly sounds are controlling some humans on experiment monitors and making them blow their own brains out. If it was me, my instinct was not to hack into the machine, which Maeve was trying to do and having problems, but maybe just destroy the thing that's making the noises.
It's a big thing. I don't know.
Just start kicking it.
Maybe they didn't want everybody to be alerted.
Maybe. But again, you're in a trap. So I don't think alerting people is going to matter. But they've somehow talked themselves out of the fact that they're clearly in a trap. It's like Empire Strikes Back. Luke goes to Bespin and gets shot at once by like Boba Fett. And then he's like, I'm all sneaking around and no one knows I'm here except that one guy, but I got away from him. And then these doors keep opening in all the right places and closing in other places. And he's just like, well, I guess I'll go this way now. And then of course it turns out to be a trap to get him to the fucking carbonite chamber. And he gets away, but still, it was supposed to be a trap. And he should have known it was a trap.
Right. If you know it's a trap, just don't go. Right.
Use your lightsaber. Cut that door open. Go the other way.
But they think they're smarter than them. That's
right.
The thing.
Maeve's folly. Right. So, people are made to kill themselves. Oh, and then one of the chambers has Frankie in it. And Caleb immediately falls for it, even though he knows replicants are a thing. And he knows he's in a trap.
Yeah.
I guess your parental instinct just takes over. And she's going to shoot herself, so Caleb runs out there and tries to get into the room, and Maeve's trying her hardest to hack that terminal. She's trying so hard, and she gets the door open just at that last second, where Caleb can get the gun away from Frankie and stop her from shooting herself. Convenient, that. And, oh, wait a second. Maeve just figured out that Frankie's not a human, but she can't tell Caleb because William's there. And she...
Why didn't Maeve know that before? She knows that she can tell the difference between humans and non-humans.
Good question.
Is it a hole in their writing?
Or shielding? Yeah, William seems to be working around Maeve. He's been making his robots harder to hack.
All the access was restricted.
Right. He's been generally making things harder for her to deal with and upgrading the robots so she's not the ultimate badass in the universe anymore. Which happens because she thinks she shoots him down, but then he gets back up and knocks her into a wall. Yep. So, and then Frankie starts being weird. She hugs her dad or whatever. He hugs her. I don't think she hugs him back, which, again, alert. But she grabs onto his arms and he can't get away. And she says, "She wants you to stay, Daddy." And who's the she? Do you remember?
It's Charbroiled.
Charbroiled Hale. Charlotte is somewhere around. And
she
Caleb,
wants you to stay, Daddy.
all she ever needed was you.
Stay and play with me.
All right, so you said you didn't remember how the episode ends. Do you remember now?
Well, he's trapped there.
Uh-huh.
That's all.
I think you repressed it because it was so fucked up.
What?
Frankie's
remember
fucking
her face, yeah.
opens up.
I remember that. It was pretty gross and cool. Just like Maeve's, or just like Dolores when she was underground with Bernard.
But like a more extreme form of opening. And I do wonder, like, as soon as the credits hit, the first thing that was in my head was, I wonder if the actress that plays Frankie got to watch that scene. Because
probably
you can't let a kid that young watch all of Westworld, right? But
she's probably older than we think.
10, I mean.
But she's probably older than that.
What would it be like to be a kid and then see that someone has taken your face and CGI'd it so fucking opens up and then fucking flies are coming out, a swarm of flies.
She would be like, "That's fucking cool."
I hope so.
Yeah.
Because that is pretty fucking cool. I mean, it was a great effect.
If she's a robot, why does she need the flies?
She was a fly storage tank.
Oh, that's right. She needs the flies so the flies can get into him.
Right. So she swarms flies all around Caleb. And at this point, and maybe again, this is why you repressed it, you were screaming at the TV.
Oh my God, close your mouth. He had his mouth open the entire time. Like, climb in. And none of the flies went in there, of course.
They went in his ear.
I'm sure they eventually did. But
one of them went in his ear, and then he screams. And
one of them went in his nose, too.
No, right. Can't plug all the holes all the time.
You could at least plug the one that you have gaping, like, on purpose.
Or start doing when we're walking the dogs at night and there's gnats, and I'm just going like...
Yeah.
Just blow outwards, because the flies can't handle that so well. What? It works.
They probably couldn't hear you because I was spitting into the microphone.
Well, we'll see how that comes out in the wash. But, at least try. He wasn't even trying.
He's just like,
there's flies, and one of them hurt my eardrum. And then he goes down, and he's got flies in him. Mm-hmm. So,
are they going to get, they're going to like, I mean, the flies have to eventually die, because if they're real flies, they're going to die in a few days, right? So then the goop.
Well, they're going to infect him with black brain goop.
Right. And then they're also going to be dead all over his body, which can't be good for your health.
I think dead flies inside your head are not good, but I feel like the black brain goop's probably worse for you.
I'm okay with the black goop. I don't want them.
Okay. All right. Well, that's an argument that one could make.
Just plug the holes.
Either way, based on what we've seen so far, Caleb is dead now.
No. He can't be dead.
How do you come back from that? We've seen
them walking around, and then, like the guy that...
Please let me die.
Can I die? Am I done now with my job? But I am sure that reverberation, it was telling the flies, not the people, what to do.
Or the goop.
No, the sounds.
Yeah, no, I know.
Okay, so there's probably a sound they can make to make the flies come back out.
Yes. I think you're absolutely right about that. Or, like, I have a feeling that goop is not fully organic. It's probably like a cyborg goop, like part robot, part organic, and it can like replicate itself inside a human host, but it's also programmable, so it can, you know, take over your brain and tell you what to do. I'm sure that's what it's going to turn out to be, right? So, yes, maybe if Maeve can get away from William in the next like 20 minutes, she could do something with that noise to save Caleb.
Well, do you think they want to kill Caleb right now? I think they want to use him and keep him alive as long as they can.
What do they want him for?
I don't know.
What is he useful for? The only thing would be they wanted Maeve. They were hunting her.
But that was for Caleb.
They wanted Caleb. But we don't know.
He didn't seem so special to me last.
Right, yeah. Well, I mean, we know he fought in a war,
season.
probably killed a bunch of robots.
He was like a leader. He was the start of it all.
Yes. Yes.
So,
him and Maeve started whatever anti-robot revolution needed to happen.
Why would the robots need him? Because you would think that they would be like, "Yay, Caleb." Right?
I don't know. Or wait. No. They need something. What is it they need? They need access to the forge. And the encryption key is in whose brain? Maeve's? Bernard's? Dolores's? Someone has the encryption key inside them.
I don't know. I thought it was Dolores, but I think at the end we figured out that it wasn't Dolores. But I don't know. I thought it was Dolores.
For Dolores to be in the position she's in.
So maybe he knows where she's at.
Caleb knows where Dolores is at?
She is the weapon in the desert.
Dolores can't be in the desert. She's in a city. Unless
That's Christina.
Oh. She looks a lot like Dolores.
Or maybe he wiped her memory and rebooted her.
Well,
and
she
now
had
she's
her brain
Christina,
wiped.
And they want to know where she is.
Interfacing with Rehoboam wiped Dolores' brain.
Okay, so that is the real Dolores.
Okay, maybe Caleb and Bernard are the two people that know about the weapon in the desert. When Caleb was like bleeding out in the desert with Maeve standing over him, they had just exploded another Rehoboam looking brain.
Yeah.
We saw that in that very brief flashback. And that appeared to be in a desert.
Maybe it's the server with the Sublime they're after.
Yeah, and is that like the server farm that William bought in the first episode, quote unquote bought, is that the Sublime? Is that the original Westworld archive? Well, no, that's the original Westworld archives that are encrypted, which could include the Sublime for all I know. But they still need the encryption key. Fuck.
We're going to find out. They're going to have to tell us. You can't know until you know.
But you think Caleb's going to get through this?
Yes.
All right.
I mean, he can't die.
It's
not in the first 2 episodes or few episodes.
Like we just saw the season finale of The Boys, and like 2 of the boys, well, one of them definitely has like incurable brain tumors, but the other one should have them too. And like, how are they going to write their way out of this? You know, it's that kind of question. Now they've put brain flies inside Caleb. How are they going to write their way out?
They're going to play a song, and they're all going to come marching out.
Not even flying out. They just march slowly out of his head and then like leaving a little trail of black goop behind them. Slowly leaks back out.
Yep.
I don't know. Well, you don't like him. Do you want him to get through this for Frankie's sake? Or
I mean, he's part of the story. Oh, you know, they could kill him. He didn't come in until what?
Season 3.
Yeah.
Yep. And he was just kind of Dolores' pawn for most of that.
He's annoying. Maybe they feel the same.
Okay. How do you guys feel? How do you feel about Caleb? What do you think's going to happen next? If you have any thoughts on this, let us know. You can find us, you can email me, jeff@potofthrones.com or @potofthrones on Twitter. Those are the 2 places I frequent the most. What?
I frequent.
Yes.
The TikToks. We should get a TikTok account.
You should.
I am at Kid Free Weekend on Twitter. And Jennifer at potofthrones.com.
That's it. So we're going to keep trying to decipher this mystery week by week. We're going to take it down. We're going to figure the fuck out. Right?
Well, of course, because they're going to tell us.
Oh, well.
You think we're going to figure it all out beforehand, huh? It
would
gets
be
crazier
nice.
and crazier.
I'd be pretty happy if I could figure out like one thing. That would be, that would be enough. We got 8 episodes. This was episode 3. So
all right.
I by episode 6, I want to have figured out at least one thing.
Okay.
I got one. I think we're going to be on with this cyborg virus. I think, sort of a programmable
goop.
I
Okay.
think we got at least that going for us. I feel good about that one.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yep.
We'll see.
Okay, so until next time, people.
Watch out for your goops.
Exit light, enter night.
Mm-hmm.
Take my hand. We're off to Never Never Land.
Hmm.
What was I supposed to do at the end? Oh, make a robot say the French word?
Yes.
Let's do that right now. I'll just cut out the silence while I pull this up. Let's see. We'll go to Google Translate. Crazy ears. All right. Let's see if it will pronounce. Oh, did you mean? Yes. Okay.
Années folles.
Années folles. I was pretty close.
Mm-hmm.
Années folles.
Années folles.
Did she say it differently the second time?
Années.
Is she mad at me?
It sounded like it.
God.
She
Okay.
didn't slow it down.
All right.
Do it again.
Années folles.
That was different.
Yeah. Do it again.
Années folles.
Huh. Play it the second time, it slows it down.
Huh. I guess that could just be programming and not an AI being irritated. All right. I'm going to go now before Googaplazon comes to get me.
Yeah.